The second variance, we call it in boxing pivoting. Pivoting is not that much used when practicing bag workouts, but is important for you to know, and you may actually try and implement it during the workouts on the back. And what do I mean with pivoting? Again, a comfortable stance, right? Boxing stance variance. And pivoting, we have two types of pivoting with two variances. The first type of pivoting is you pivot on your back leg, or the second type of pivoting, you pivot on your front leg. And I'll explain in a moment why do you need pivoting. And you can choose to pivot inwards. Inwards is inside your body, or outwards, outside your inner core, right? So it will look a little bit like this. Let's say that we choose to pivot on my front leg outwards. So it looks like this. This is how it looks like. On front leg, pivoting on the front leg inwards, right? Good. The same inwards and outwards movement we can perform, but now pivoting on the back leg. What are the technical nuances of pivoting? Pivoting actually is very simple. The most important thing is that you have to be loyal to your initial boxing stance variance. So you need, if you started with your leg 90 degree, 30 degree, or you started your leg or with your foot 30 degree to 30 degree, you have to make sure when you arrive where you had to be, you do the small adjustment. So your back foot point in the right direction, or your front foot. So you arrive and you keep that integrity when you complete your pivoting. And it can be different angles. It can be a bigger one, or it can be very small and incremental. It can be both, okay? Whereas when we move, we really move with both feet, right? Here we only move with one, and it's more rotating on top of it. So pivot, okay? So that's actually the technical nuance. Is you release the pressure, okay? You keep your hands high, of course, and basically when you arrive in the position you want it to be or you need it to be, you have to still stay true to your boxing stance variance. Hips diagonal, shoulders diagonal, and ready to dance, okay? Ready to bang. How that looks on the bag and what would you need pivoting for? So imagine I have an opponent in front of me, and the opponent is moving sideways. You see that I'm actually following my opponent. I don't need to move my back leg together. I just need to make that small angle adjustment. That's it, as to stay true to my boxing stance variance. This is what pivoting is used for one reason, is to chase my opponent, and usually you chase it by putting pressure, by putting emphasis on moving the front foot, front leg, and the back leg is supporting, right? So usually when you corner an opponent, when you spar, or even if you follow the back, you need to make small adjustments. You do it on the front leg, good? Also, if you were to conduct a counterattack, and this is how it looks like. Imagine that my opponent just threw a punch. I ducked the punch. I moved diagonal to my opponent, right? I moved diagonal, but I want to strike with my back, with my backhand. I will do it from the other angle in a moment. You'll see from both sides. So my opponent is in front of me. It threw a punch coming from this side. I duck, and now I'm ready to strike. I could choose to strike with the left, but the right is not the best angle. So you do a small adjustment and now you can finish. You see what I'm trying to say? So it looks a little bit like that. So I did a small adjustment with my foot, you see, just to be in the right position. So you got in, diagonal, you slide, pow, pow. You stay in the right distance, move out, and finish the job. So it looks like this a little bit, okay? So you duck under, bang, bang, pivoting. So you can sometimes punch when you pivot, or you just can simply pivot, bang, and punch. That is what pivoting is used for, mainly in fighting. With the front leg to chase the opponent, and with the back leg is to adjust angles for striking, to stay ready. Of course, you can strike when you move with the front leg, no question about it. But the pivoting on the front leg, like this, is more for the counter-attack. Pivot movement is not the most used type of movement or movement variance, but it's good to know. It's very good to know, and it helps you to change angles very fast, very fast. This is slow. This is fast. So this is what pivoting is for. Use it very little on the bag, but you'll use it much more, and you need to know much more when you spar and when you fight, of course. It's a more complex movement. It's a bit more difficult to integrate with other movements, with the last one we will talk about in a moment, and of course with stabbing. But we will have a training specifically designed, and you'll have the opportunity to practice. And if it's for the first time, take your time. It will not come most certainly during the first training. It will come during the second or the third or the fourth. You'll just keep on insisting until you have it right. Okay, good. So this was the movement variance number 2, pivoting. Pivoting on your front leg, pivoting on your back leg, supporting with the back leg or the front leg. And of course, you can pivot inwards and outwards, depending on the situation. What do you need? Do you need pivoting to chase someone? Then you move, or you pivot on the back leg. And if you need to counterattack, change quick angles to set yourself in a good position to counterattack your opponent, then you pivot. Most of the times you'll pivot on your front leg, being that inwards or outwards pivoting.